Hello, how are you? If you feel burning, numbness, a sensation of tired legs, or sometimes like a little electric shock in your legs, feet, or hands, know that this could be related to neuropathy. I'm going to tell you here what the worst poison for neuropathy is and what you should do to avoid this very serious problem. Stay until the end, you won't want to miss this. Before we start, I want to ask you if you've ever felt any of the symptoms I mentioned here. By the way, do you live with diabetes or have high blood sugar levels? I would love to see your comment. Remember to like the video, that's super important to me, and also take the opportunity to subscribe to the channel if you're new here. I have new videos every day, you'll love them for sure. When we think about the nervous system, many people only think of the brain, right? Of course, the human brain is the primary and most complex organ of our entire nervous system, but vital electrical impulses must also travel all the way down our spinal cord and through our intricate network of nerves to reach all the necessary parts of our body. So, when you have some difficulty in the transmission of this electrical signal, it may be related to nerve problems. And these nerve issues can be linked to what I just mentioned, such as tingling, pain, or even sharp stabbing sensations that can be quite uncomfortable. Some people feel it like little needle pricks, and this can indeed be related to poor nerve function, which can lead to these signs and symptoms that are extremely uncomfortable. Not only unpleasant, but they can also be dangerous. Over time, when someone has some kind of nerve problem like this, they may also have difficulty in being able to lift weight or properly close their hands. These effects can get worse and worse, and it's important for us to avoid that, obviously, so we can maintain good neurological health overall. The name of this condition is neuropathy, and this neuropathy, meaning disease of the nerves, peripheral, is very much related to the peripheral part itself, not the central part. It has to do with the extremities of our body. The biggest poison, when we think about neuropathy and the peripheral type, is uncontrolled diabetes. But it's not just uncontrolled diabetes, it's also the improper consumption of large amounts of high glycemic index carbohydrates, which will contribute to worsening this diabetes imbalance. This is the main cause of neuropathy in our world. No other factor comes close. When glucose remains high for months or years, it ends up caramelizing the proteins in the blood vessels, a process known as glycation. This forms toxic compounds that damage the myelin sheath, compress the microvessels, reduce oxygenation, and directly injure the nerve axon, which is like the little leg of the nerve. It's as if these nerves in your body run out of energy and can't repair themselves. And then, in the more severe stages of this diabetic peripheral neuropathy, you stop feeling heat, you stop feeling pain, you might injure yourself without even noticing, you can develop wounds that won't heal, and you could even lose limbs. We know of cases where people with uncontrolled diabetes and an unbalanced diet, unfortunately, end up needing to have legs or extremities amputated. So, this is very concerning because high blood sugar is silent, right? It doesn't hurt, but it silently destroys your nerves. And this is very worrying because many people only find out they have diabetes after this tingling appears. In other words, when peripheral neuropathy has already set in. The second big poison, a huge problem at the population level, are proton pump inhibitors, or antacids, which many people use on a daily basis, right? Omeprazole, pantoprazole, esomeprazole. There are people who use these every day to control heartburn, reflux, indigestion. They are excellent medications when used correctly, that is, with a beginning, a middle, and an end. The problem is if you take them every day for many months or even years without medical supervision, because they interfere with the absorption of vitamin B12. And vitamin B12 is essential for producing myelin, maintaining the speed of nerve impulses, and repairing damage that occurs in neurons, right? Our bodies suffer damage throughout the day, and B12 helps with that. Now, when it's low, the nerves start to fail, almost like an exposed, stripped wire. And then you can have these same symptoms: burning, stinging, numbness, shocks, loss of balance, and there are even people who experience blurred vision, extreme fatigue, which can be related to this neurological damage, which is irreversible. Just to be clear, if your doctor has prescribed you one of these proton pump inhibitors and you're undergoing treatment with proper supervision, you probably won't have any problems. The problem is with people who take them on their own for a long time and without monitoring their B12 levels. This is extremely important. Even with your doctor's guidance, if they say you can take it for a longer period, ask to have your B12 levels checked periodically to make sure they're within the correct range. Another medication that can cause a problem is metformin, because it's a medication that's right for some things, but it can have the wrong side effect. Metformin is one of the best medications used to control type 2 diabetes, but it also has the effect of competing with vitamin B12 in our intestines. And since every diabetic already has a risk of peripheral neuropathy, when metformin lowers B12 too much, neuropathy can end up appearing earlier in these cases, more severely, and it becomes harder to treat. The symptoms are the same as the other neuropathies I mentioned to you. The problem isn't exactly the metformin itself. Once again, it's using metformin without checking your B12 levels. So, if you use any medication on a continuous basis, it's important to check your vitamin levels during your semi-annual or annual checkup to see how they're doing. Another poison is alcohol. We also already know that alcohol is one of the agents that most harms nerves on our planet. That's because it causes two types of damage at the same time. First, it also competes with B-complex vitamins, B1, B6, B12, vitamin E, folate, so it can be harmful in that sense, but also because alcohol causes direct neurotoxicity, right? Alcohol alters the metabolism of neurons and reduces the body's ability to repair axons. So, if you already have any signs of peripheral neuropathy, the ideal is for you to abstain from alcoholic beverages so as not to make the situation worse. It's also always worth periodically checking how your other vitamin levels are, in addition to B12. Vitamin B1, B6, vitamin E, and folate can also be related to neuropathy. So, if you are someone, once again, who takes a lot of continuous use medication, already has some chronic illness, or has some intestinal absorption problem, it's worth checking your levels periodically because these vitamins may be at lower levels, and supplementation might be necessary, sometimes oral supplementation, or sometimes even supplementation by injection, which is a way that's easier to absorb, right? Because you won't need your intestines in that case to ensure that you'll be able to properly absorb the supplementation. So, whenever you're considering supplementation, talk to your doctor or your nutritionist first. And remember that this video is for informational purposes only. If you have any questions, talk to them to find out about your specific case. I have many other videos here on the channel talking more about controlling blood sugar, about neuropathy, about B-complex vitamins, about proton pump inhibitors such as esomeprazole and omeprazole, and about metformin. So, if you want to go more in-depth on any of these, check out the description below. I'll leave several playlists and related videos on this subject, as well as other health topics that might interest you, okay? Let me know, did you know about this correlation between these medications and these vitamin deficiencies and how they relate to nerve health, which is so important for us? I would love to see your comment. Remember to like the video, that's super important to me, and share this video with anyone you know who will enjoy it or who needs it. Let's work together to expand this chain of good. That's what I want here with the channel. See you next time. Bye.